Hello and welcome to Floristry Market. My name is Greg.
And I'm Emma.
And you're Emma. Emma, hello.
Hello. We're going to make a basket
Oh.
that kind of you could have it on your table. It's very a nod towards Mother's Day.
Okay.
So kind of for florists, we go Valentine's Day straight into Mother's Day. And you've got a lovely array of faux
We do.
in the warehouse. And Mother's Day, I tend to think of like these pinks, lilacs, purples. Obviously, it's not everybody's colour scheme, but very soft spring, pretty colours, really.
Yeah.
So we've got a nice trug basket. So this reminds me of somebody kind of like going through the garden, holding it like that,
Absolutely,
snipping.
yeah.
So I like a trug basket. I've already put the dried oasis in there, and I've taped that in, making sure that I've gone not right through the centre so that I can get my flowers in.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is
I remember that. I remember some little things that you say, yeah.
We're going to add our foliage in. So I'm just going to start off at 12 o'clock. So I'm going to imagine I've got a clock and I'm going to angle it down. So 12 o'clock, half past, quarter past, quarter to. So they're only going into the oasis a couple of inches, about 5 centimetres, angling them down towards the base. And then I'm going to come in between, use that kind of recipe lots. 12 o'clock, half past, quarter to, come in between, top layer, middle layer, bottom layer. But I start with the bottom layer.
Do you still say it in your head when you do it?
Yeah, yeah, no, I do. And I think when I'm teaching people as well, you can just follow the shape of the basket round, but you don't always have a shape that you like. You might want to change it. So I've not covered up the oasis completely. And the reason for that is lots of these flowers that we've got have got nice stems on them. So I might use like the stems from the freesia and that kind of thing. When you're doing it in fresh flowers, you always green up first, so you cover all of it. But with the faux foliage can be quite expensive.
Okay.
So you don't want to waste money on lots of foliage, so you might look at what foliage is on the flowers so that you can use that up.
So if this was fresh, this would be considerably cheaper than flowers?
No, it's not that it's cheaper, it's just that you have to cover all of the oasis.
Okay.
And the fresh flowers don't have such nice leaves. You tend to take those off in the conditioning, whereas in the faux ones you leave them on.
Okay.
So it's not that faux is necessarily more expensive, it's just that you've got leaves on there that you can leave on. So we want something to be a focal flower to go in the centre. So it needs to be either a bigger one or a darker one.
I was going to suggest this, but that might not be...
Freesia? We can use the freesia.
I know, but there's not a lot of it.
No, but what we could do is we can cluster them.
Okay.
So we don't have to have them as an individual flower. So
I just like the colour of it.
yeah, it's nice and bright, isn't it? Like a magenta. So what I want to do is make sure that I'm not coming higher than my handle. You want to be able to get your hand under the handle. So the general rule of thumb is half-ish. Come halfway up. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to push that one in. And it's, as you say, it's not very big. So it's not what I would normally say is a focal flower. So what I'm going to do is pop a couple in there, almost back to back. So I'm clustering them. So now I've got like a focal area.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got my one in the centre. And then I'm going to do something on the outside. So it's smaller, lighter flowers on the outside. So do you have a preference, Greg, or shall I just go for it?
Those ones.
The sweet peas?
Yes.
So I'm going to chop into the sweet peas. I think we've talked about this before on previous shows, where if you've got a stem like that, I can cut into it here.
Yeah. Yes, we have talked about it.
So I'm going to angle that down towards the table. So that's my 12 o'clock. And I'm going to do my half past. And when you're making it, always make sure you keep turning it.
Yep.
I tend to, because I taught for a long time, make everything facing outwards. But when you're making it, turn it round so that it's even on all sides. So I've got my 12 o'clock and my half past. Where am I going to go next?
It's either quarter to and then quarter past, or the other way around.
That's it. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Quarter to?
Either or.
Well, quarter to comes before quarter past, I guess.
So angling them down.
I guess it also comes after.
So just following the recipe at that base layer, and then I'm going to come in between. So I'm going to keep my smaller, lighter flowers on the outside. So although I've got these, I love these, I'm going to keep these for nearer to the centre.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the lilac. So lots of people associate lots of like pastel colours, pretty colours. But what's nice about Mother's Day is, unlike Valentine's Day when everything's red or red and pink, with Mother's Day you get like a a variation. You can have like the pinks, the yellows, the creams, the neutrals.
So have you got a favourite sort of pastel colour selection? What would you choose? If
I'm
somebody
really
wanted something
into
pastel?
this year, all of them. So doesn't help, does it? But like the very on trend this year is I've got quite a lot of weddings coming up where they've got pastel pink, lilac, pale blue, lemon and peach.
Okay.
So it's all of the colours together.
Oh.
So 5. So we've talked about before, like polychromatic is 5 or more.
Yeah.
They all go. And in the pastel shades, it looks really nice together.
So do you think the trend is going more towards poly than just a single colour?
I do think so, and also a lot this year. So people are having rainbow bridesmaids. So they're having each of those as an individual colour.
Okay.
And then they're either having the bridesmaids bouquet. The bridal bouquet is a mixture of all of the colours, and then, for instance, the pink bridesmaids having a pink flower that's in the bridal bouquet. The lemon one's having a yellow flower that's in the bridal bouquet,
right.
or they're all having a mixture of everything. So yeah, it's quite popular this year. So now we're going to do our tripod around our focal flower. So I think we'll probably go with the other freesia. So there's 3 on this one, and they've got a bit of foliage on them. So
What do you mean a tripod?
So like a triangle, an invisible triangle. So I'm going to add 1. So 3 flowers equally distanced. So like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So and I've left the foliage on that stem, even though it goes with that flower, so I can cut it shorter and just push it in where I want it to go. If I'd have left it on, it's very much kind of like it has to go where the flower goes, but I want it to go a bit deeper in to cover up some more oasis. So I've taken it off.
And that's stiff enough just to...
Yeah, they'll
pop
just
it
go
in?
straight in. Most of them have got wires in, and then you can also bend them. So if I don't want it sticking right up like that, you can bend them and manipulate them.
Perfect.
So that's why like the foliage that comes on them is really good. So it's covering them up, adding movement. We've talked about that before.
We have.
Adding different texture. So we're just using those up to fill it in. And then we want to come in our middle section, and if I could please have some clematis, either of those, whichever you prefer. So they're obviously going to denote the colour palette now. So first thing I did was I cut off the foliage, and I'm going to just go in between and cover up some of that oasis, so it's not seen, or floral foam or whatever you're using.
I do love it, the way, when you're doing these things and you're looking at them, it just looks like, oh, you're just doing it. But then the overall effect, when it starts to come together, it's great.
Yeah, it's just remembering
those
principles and elements of design. So smaller flowers on the outside, bigger flowers in the centre, lighter coloured flowers on the outside, darker flowers in the centre, add in some texture, make sure you've got space, think about your clock. So it does look like you're just putting them in.
I think it is the texture. I think it's the different leaves and foliage, and it just... makes it.
So they're the things that give you, part of the principles and elements of design. Different shapes, so we've talked about before, form. So in floristry, when we talk about form, we mean shape. So we've got different shaped flowers here. So all things that hold the eye in and keep interest. Right, so I've covered up quite a lot of that oasis now, you can see, with foliage. So now we're going to intersperse the gaps with flowers. So this is just kind of like filling in, really. So I'm going to chop into them.
It seems to be more visible here than that side. So.
What, the oasis?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start on that side then. And now I'm not going to be too even. I don't want it to be too neat. I want it to look a little bit more natural. So it might be a bit more traily this side and on that side. So it's a bit more relaxed, but I'm still going for those smaller buds on the outside.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and again, just bending them. It's really important, I know I've said it before, when you unpack things, bend them, manipulate them, open them out, that's what makes them look realistic.
This could be used in restaurants, in cafes, around that springtime, on Mother's Day.
And people like those kind of like trug baskets. Lots of people don't necessarily live near to where their mum is.
So it could be a gift, obviously.
So it's a gift, or they might be taking it, or it's like people like to have things that are going to last. And like we've talked about before, like people will have faux flowers that are seasonal and they'll rotate them. So they'll keep this one out for like spring, early summer, and then they'll switch it up to a high summer one. I mean, people have like all sorts of furnishings, don't they? Like, I don't know whether to say, like, I have like winter cushions and spring.
Doesn't surprise me.
Like
That's all.
Christmas cushions and summer cushions, and so people will do that. Like, you don't have to decorate a whole room, do you? You can like whiz out your spring cushions and your spring flowers,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
exactly
that's
what I
you
do.
Greg,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
do. Yeah.
But people do, and it kind of like refreshes a room, refreshes an office, refreshes a workspace. So like, you're laughing, but in your like your office, you've got some flowers. Like, you have flowers, don't you, out there?
We do, yeah.
And like, we did talk about spring flowers and
Yeah. And we'll take these.
So we've got the flowers in, so it's starting to look there. And then I've got some of this Persilla, which is really realistic.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to finish off with that. You could keep adding to it. You could add filler into it. You could add gypsophilia into it. I quite like it. And then I'm just going to bend these and have them kind of just coming out.
It's lovely.
You can add ribbon to it. You know, you can have like ribbons coming down the front, or all sorts of things, really. But any colour scheme that would work. And also, if you wanted to just keep the basket, but you wanted to swap the florals over, dried Oasis, because it's denser, dried foam, you can probably take out the flowers and then add in maybe like your summer ones as you go. So if you didn't want to keep the whole thing, or
so when you get your summer cushions out, you can get your summer flowers out.
you can just use them up.
Yeah.
I know. I'm that person, aren't I? I've got summer cushions.
Well, you told me about some of your clients. You showed me some pictures that have.
They'll have the whole of the outside of the house.
Yeah. And inside. There was that big arch that you showed me that was inside the house.
Yes.
And that was an autumnal theme, wasn't
and
it?
lots of businesses really, I think businesses on the high street need to stand out now.
Yeah.
So they want to have that wow factor, restaurants, lots of hair and beauty places and things like that. They'll have big seasonal things. And I think it is just it's that curb appeal where people don't drive past them.
Yeah.
So I do quite a lot of that, and there are people that do, their whole business is based on decorating shops and businesses.
You know, I went to, everybody's saying the high street is dying. I was in a place called Nork in Surrey the other day, yesterday actually. Walked around there, really vibrant high street, not an empty unit, lots of independent businesses. It was really nice.
Yeah, Henley's
really nice.
very like that. And
Yeah.
I actually was listening to, because obviously it's where I get all my knowledge from now, podcasts. And I was listening to a lady who has a fashion brand, and she's doing pop-ups on the high street now. And she was saying that her online clients love the pop-ups. Like, when they release where the pop-up's going to be, they're only there for like 3 weeks and they're flooded with custom. So I think maybe the high street is adapting.
That's interesting.
Like you say, like independent shops, like.
So what happens? Does the landlord just say, yeah, you can have it for 3 weeks, and
then,
they go in and make a shop and then leave?
And then leave, yeah. So
Look
you've
at
just got to
that.
remember that recipe of darker in the middle, smaller on the outside, lighter on the outside, clock, fill in,
That's
top,
perfect.
middle, bottom.
That's lovely. I really like that. And you can get all that stuff at Floristry Market.
All that and more. You've got so much out there.
We do. But I didn't realise we sold those.
Yeah, these are nice, aren't they? Trugs. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. Emma, as always, thank you so much. I hope you've all enjoyed this content. If so, give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or even right here on YouTube. And hit the little bell icon, you'll be notified every time we do another show. Anyway, have fun, be happy. From myself and Emma, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.